Hey, I'm Kev. Welcome to another Challenge Rivals 2 recap. And yes, of course, I am freaking wearing greenish, honoring the losers of this episode. And it was such a crazy episode. I'm freaking excited about this episode. And it starts with a hookup. Teresa and Leroy hook up above Wes's bed, and he's kind of mad because he hooked up with Teresa and fresh meat. So he decides to move out of the room and take his bed. So Johnny, the next day, Johnny comes and makes like this little guy out of I don't know what the hell, and he starts writing stuff about Wes, I guess. And Wes goes into the room, and Leroy finds it funny, and Wes is like, okay. So I think Wes thinks Leroy made it, and Johnny actually made it. So he gets mad at Leroy, and he's actually just mad at Leroy, or he's just not getting along with Leroy, and I don't know why. I think he sees him as a big threat, and also I think he's mad. I mean, Teresa's hookup with him was just like something. It was just a hookup, and I think Leroy's and Teresa's hookup is more deep. That's just songs wrong. Not deep, but with more feelings than with Wes. With Wes, it was just something sloppy, but with Leroy, it's something. It could kind of turn into something good. So Zach then gets a call from back at home, and his nephew is born, and that's his first nephew ever. So he's actually crying because of his nephew. He wasn't there to witness how his nephew was born, and he's actually crying. And this is a freaking huge surprise because I never thought in a million years that we were gonna see Zach freaking crying. He actually has emotions. He actually has a heart. What a surprise! Then he just gets like a tummy ache, like Jordan said. And I think it's just the whole thing through his mind of the game. He's just thinking that he's far away from home. It's his first nephew. I mean, Thailand is very hot, so that actually gets like the heat, the actual weather gets into you, and it's just bad. Like, I experience it where I live. It just puts you in a bad mood, and then his stomach starts to like hurt, and he's just not feeling well. And when Zach is not feeling well, he kind of turns into the Hulk. The Hulk turns into the Hulk, and cameras should just watch out when he's mad because he doesn't like to have cameras in his face, and he just has a freaking meltdown. He's like crying and mad, and he doesn't want the cameras, and he just goes off with the cameraman. He's like, I don't want you guys in my face, you want a shot? And he just starts breaking stuff, and everybody's like, what the F? What the F is going on? I think it was just so many emotions sunk in, and he finally like brought him out, and it was just a bad day for him. And I think it's just like the poor camera crews. It's just not their fault. It's not their fault, but everybody has their meltdowns. So Wes is now actually trying to get rid of Leroy, and is talking to DM, and DM is actually going with it, and they're gunning for Leroy. So they get to the challenge, and the challenge name is a Frog Smash, and Frog Smash is literally like a balance beam suspended above water. What a surprise! And there's like this huge swings, and you have to get from one end of the beam to the other while people are trying to knock you off with the swings. And it looks like a pretty hard challenge because there's just swings everywhere, and you're trying to get past through that. And no surprise, Cara Maria and Cook are chosen to go first again, and Cook actually gets to finish it, but Cara Maria just like they knock her out. So now Teresa and Jasmine are going up, but the exes clique, which are Camilla, Emily, and DM, want don't want Johnny or Nani to win because they see them as a big threat. So they're gonna let Teresa and Jasmine pass. And so was Cook and Carmora and Nani and Johnny because that was the only hope for them so they can actually win the next challenge. And so they did. So Jasmine should just go and no bumps. So the next, the girls keep on bumping, but the girls like are going hard, even though they're not going to the jungle. These girls are going hard. They're fighting for it. And actually, Jamie and Camilla actually run through this really fast, but they're separated. And I like seriously, I didn't get the rules of the challenge. They weren't explained very well. So the guys' teams are next, and Zach and Trey are chosen to go first. And Zach and Trey just they just it was poor. This was just a poor um, performance by them. They just fall off really quick, and I think it wasn't a challenge for him because he's too big and balancing, and people who are big and balancing are just doesn't mix well. So they're praying that somebody or not and present do bad. So they actually kind of come to an agreement that they're gonna try to blast as hard as they can Knight and Preston. But Johnny is like, no, I'm not gonna go for this. So he doesn't swing, and Zach gets mad because all the teams do freaking well. I mean, the rookies go freaking rookies. They just go at it. It was just they flew through this, and the other teams did okay, and some of them did fall, but CT and West, nobody swinged at them. Nobody swinged at them. So at the end, the winners were CT and West and Teresa and Jasmine. So CT and West are not going to the jungle for sure, and the losers were Zach and Trey. So they're basically going in the jungle no matter what. Okay, so back in the house, the voting thing is just it's just all sneaky, and nobody wants to piss off anybody. Zach wants Johnny and Frank in the jungle. So Teresa's like, okay, I'm gonna just throw away my vote and vote Leroy and Ty because that's the way they throw away votes. And the other girls are voting, and Johnny and Nani's like, we're gonna throw away our vote too, and they vote for them. And then Diam and Anissa were gonna vote for them, so they just vote him in. And a big surprise, Leroy and Ty are going to the jungle, and Teresa and John A and Nani and Jasmine just did not expect this to happen because it was supposed to be a throwaway vote, and it's just like a big surprise to everybody. And Wes is happy because he got what he wanted. And in the jungle we have Zach and Treya versus Leroy and Ty, and then Leroy is just really confused, and he's like, what happened? So at this point, Teresa's just feeling really bad because it was her fault, and she tries to go and talk to a DM, and I'm actually in DM's side in this argument because it was actually their fault that they went in. Honestly, it was their fault. I mean, Teresa had no point on just talking to DM, maybe because they were close or something. But, I mean, it was their vote, and I think DM was really right on what she said. So, now we're going into the jungle. And the jungle's name is Breaking Through. And let me tell you, I was actually so freaking excited for the jungle because Zach and Trey are a pretty strong team, and Leroy and Ty are a freaking strong team as well. And I was actually enjoying Zach and Trey perform and watching them in the challenge. And I really enjoy Leroy. I don't mind Ty. He's just there. I like these two teams. So there was 3 floors, and each floor had different stuff, and you have to cut, you have to break. So you have to take turns. Like the first one, your first partner had to do it. The second one, your second partner had to do it. The third one, your first partner had to do it, and then the last one, I think you can both do it and then ring a bell. They're going at it, and the first thing they have to kind of break this thing off, and one of them has to do it. So Zack and Trey are leading, and the next is like this little hole and it has chains, and you have to break the chains with this tool. So they're breaking the chains and they can actually go through it, and then it was again somebody's Trey's turn to break off the next thing, which I don't know what it was. And Leroy and Ty are actually behind at this point. In the bottom there was like this door and they had three locks, and the three locks will have to be breaking off. So Zack and Trey and are just breaking through this, and Leroy and Ty actually caught up to them, and they were right next to each other, head to head, like trying to break this. But Zack the Hulk, he just goes room and through the door, and they win. Well, surprise, surprise, like TJ has always a surprise, and that's why I'm freaking loving this challenge, because you never know what's gonna happen next. Sad for Zack and Trey, they didn't win. They freaking did not win. Why? Because Zack did the first two stations or floors, they're like disqualified, and Zack is denying it. It was just crazy. And to be honest, I didn't know who I was rooting for, because honestly, if Leroy and Ty came back, there was gonna be drama with Wes, and Zack and Trey, if they came back, there was gonna be drama with John. Zack and Trey end up going home, and it's a huge surprise, because they won and everybody thought they had won, and Leroy and Ty actually win. It was just like huge. And actually, when Zack won, he threw his helmet to the other castmates. It was just whoa. And uh, I was just barely liking Zack, and I don't know about him. I need to watch him in another challenge. He is a character. So at the end of the episode, Leroy forgives Teresa and hook up again. And I'm Kev. Thank you for watching me. Please comment my videos, like them, watch them, share them. And if you like, follow me on Twitter, on Tumblr. Tweet me about the challenge. I'll retweet you. I'll answer you. So thank you for watching, and bye bye.